I'm Joshua Simon,
I'm Sam Joe,
and we are the SG Boys.
that little gay podcast from Singapore.
Subscribe and find us on Instagram at
The SG Boys. Oh, that was pretty okay.
Correct.
Yeah. We got to auto-tune lah. Got to press the buttons. And
Yes. Please work it into post-production.
We're celebrating 5 years of the SG Boys, which is why we're all wearing our, can we say iconic?
Yours
Can
is
we
quite
call
iconic.
ourselves, I like yours.
I've only worn this once for our photo shoot back in the day. 5 years, come on.
Yeah.
And guess what? I actually borrowed this from a friend. And I kept it wrapped in a Watson's plastic bag. Yong Chuan, by the way. Hi, Tranny.
Kennedy has filled out his t-shirt.
Kennedy is definitely not a twink anymore.
You can flex for the camera.
He has graduated.
No, I'm not going to do that. If you want to
Yeah.
see more flex, you can go to my IG account.
Oh, I thought your ex account, but after we recorded our Halloween episode, we were like, wait a minute, it's this year.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, how has it been 5 years? So that's
Yeah.
why we thought, let's do a special episode and of course invite back the OG SG Boys himself, Kennede Sng.
Yay! Samjo is now a very successful, accomplished, high-paying drag queen.
Well, I'm not sure about the high paying part, but she's booked and blessed.
Yes.
So
I've been working full-time for 3 years, but I just started a new job a few months ago.
she's still a corporate girly after all these years.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready to let that go. Yeah. Josh
Josh is still doing radio.
Josh is still doing radio,
Yeah,
just
Josh is
checking.
always just still.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been in radio for 13 years.
13, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But Josh is has been making waves also with all his celebrity interviews. Like most recently, you interviewed, I can't believe this. I know a lot of people are excited that you interviewed Kim K, but for me, it was like Glenn Close. You gotta speak to Glenn Close. It's crazy.
This is why I'm so happy that initially Kim K was not going to do the interview. It was just Glenn Close and Niecy Nash. And I was freaking out to my team. I was like, Glenn Close. And I was like, who?
Yeah, they didn't get it. And this is the time when at Kennedy, you can ask, okay, who is Glenn Close?
No, I know. On Netflix,
On Netflix.
she had a line which said, "I can smell your nappy pussy."
Wow.
Okay, now to love.
Oh, love. No updates for me. So for me, it's very simple. It's like, I started a podcast single and on and off, dated here and there. But thinking, no, I've always,
He's always been in the mix.
I've always been,
Oh, is it the time you're on a yacht and
what are you talking about? What yacht?
Oh, okay, never mind.
Which yacht?
Never mind.
Who's yacht?
Whose yacht?
Hey, 'cause
Whose yacht is it anyway?
I mean, you work in the nightlife.
Yeah.
You're constantly surrounded by all these very beautiful people. Hasn't there been a moment where you run into someone?
Absolutely, but I think it's one thing to have sexual attraction, but it's another thing to enter a committed relationship, right?
Do you think you could?
Yes, pros and cons, right? It's you get to meet a lot of people, but at the same time, when you meet people, you're working. Does that make sense? So it's not that straightforward. I know that I'm around a lot of people all the time, but sometimes, and this is what people don't see, the thing is sometimes when I'm resting, I just want to be alone. I have changed in that sense, in these 5 years, I appreciate being alone more now, and I'm more comfortable in my singlehood, if that makes sense. And I know more than ever, especially as I grow older, I don't need someone else to make me happy.
Did y'all hear about the Vogue British article? Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now?
Is it embarrassing?
To be fair, this is more geared towards cisgendered straight women, but I think certain points I can kind of resonate with is more of having a boyfriend in itself is not a flex. Being partnered in itself is not a flex. It's not about being partner-centered. Because I think a lot of people use having a partner as a status symbol.
Yeah.
To claim that because I have a partner, I have my shit together.
Or to feel complete.
So I think that article is kind of saying it's not so much of having a boyfriend that's embarrassing, it's if you're centering your boyfriend in everything you do. So yes, I'm in a happy relationship right now. It's been a little bit more than a year. But I think compared to 5 years ago from when we first started, what's different is that we always joked about this, but I literally am finally pushing 30. I'm going to be
Wow.
29 next year.
Damn.
Not to put any finality towards it, but I've been able to control my drinking a lot better.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? Because I think that is growth. 5 years ago...
Do you feel comfortable with going there?
Yeah.
Because we try to go at the question often, every time we reunite with Kennedy and why he left, and we make little jokes and stuff. But that was actually a big reason why we wanted to make sure that he had enough space.
Yeah, alcohol was a bit of I'm trying to use words carefully now, but it was a bit of a problem, right? Obviously back then, we all felt very protective of you also, so this wasn't something that we were going around telling people.
Yeah.
But we decided to part ways.
I'm definitely open to share it right now because I think I've reached a point where I'm also quite proud of the steps that I took. the way I was drinking was like affecting like every part of my life, my mental health, my physical health, and also my interpersonal relationships. And it wasn't super obvious to me at the time because everything outside of that, in a very Singaporean way, was going fine. My grades were okay. I got a good job and I was showing up to work fine. By every very traditional Singapore metric, I was checking it off. But, outside of work, it was getting bad. Like, there were times when I was drinking maybe 4 times a week, 5 times a week. And on Sundays, I might even wake up and drink from like 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m. But I think what has changed in the last, like since I left, right, since 3 years ago, is that I kind of had to swallow my pride a lot and I started on psychiatric medication. Previously, I was on and off going to like the Institute of Mental Health for talk therapy, for counselling, but it wasn't very trauma focused. But then eventually, sometime this year, I was like, oh no, I'm pushing 30. Okay, that's not the only reason why you do something, right? But it was just like a very symbolic thing that, okay, it was time to make a difference in my life.
Yeah.
Because December is actually my 10th anniversary since I started drinking. The last paper of my A-levels when I was 18, that was in 2015. That was actually really my first proper drink in December of 2015. So actually this December is the 10th year. And I decided like, okay, this has to change lah, like I can't keep doing this lah.
Yeah, because what was celebration, a celebratory drink at the start led to?
There's a book called Straight Jacket by Matthew Todd. Basically it's okay, this is more on theme with an SG boy topic, but it's basically like how a lot of gay people, like the nightlife is your first contact with a safe space, sadly. And a lot of these spaces are unregulated, and a lot of times it can be very exploitative. And even when it's not, I don't think that anybody was actively preying on me or anything like that. It's just that in a way my brain made that link like, oh, I'm always going to have alcohol to have fun. And I didn't really address a lot of the underlying like insecurities I had before going into a space like that. And I don't know, because someone who's working in the nightlife is here, so I also don't know like how you view it.
I'm also reflecting as you are speaking, reflecting on my own journey with alcohol. It didn't occur to me until recently that at some points it was definitely problematic. I always thought, because like you mentioned, drinking culture is so much a part of like, the scene, right? We go out, and that's actually where I met a lot of my first gay friends in Singapore. When I was comfortable enough with myself to go out to tantric, for instance. So I met so many people there. So drinking is like, what are you going to do? You go to drink. And so it was just so natural. And obviously I was a lot younger then as well. I was in my 20s and my body could take it, right? So we would drink, and we would drink a lot. We would take so much pride in the fact that gay bar drinks are stronger. It's like, oh yeah, I can do it. Like, come on, blue spin, yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, double shot is the standard shot.
Let's go forbidden fruit shot. Wow, like, yeah, exactly. Double shot or don't bother drinking at all.
No, it's like the only option you get is the double shot.
That's true.
Tantric.
That's true.
They don't even give you a single shot.
That's the default.
I realize for some people, it really just is a fun night out. There isn't all that trauma, or like, if you don't have such heavy topics weighing on you, it's fine. Have a good time. But I viewed it from an individual perspective for me that this applies to me. So what do I need to do to help it?
For sure, yeah. As people around you, as loved ones around you, we can only support you so far, right? And then at the end of the day, we're also not professionals. So at some point also, compared to Josh was more of still is actually more of a homebody. So actually you and I had a lot of bonding time outside of the podcast, and we would go drinking together. In a way, at some point, I felt like I wasn't sure if I was enabling you in a sense. And I know it's not on me. It's just friends having a good time with each other. It's just that you don't know when you're having a drink and a fun night out with a friend, you don't know what their reasons for drinking are. What Josh was trying to say is that what started off as like a celebratory drink for you, finishing A-levels, eventually you drank for other reasons, right? And the fact that sometimes we would hop on a call and I finished a whole bottle of vodka, and you would announce that with pride,
Yeah.
And then there were many nights also when I can't remember how about I had to send you home, because I used to live in Bishan and you in Toa Payoh, right?
Yeah.
So I had to send you home, and I actually had to take videos of you because you were, I wanted to show you how drunk you were. You plonked yourself down at your void deck and you refused to budge. And I couldn't in good conscience like leave you there. I think that's also when I realized that, initially it's like, okay, we all have nights like that. But when it happens
consistently,
like it becomes a pattern. When it happens so frequently, then you're like, oh wait, actually, why are we so reliant on alcohol? And now that enough time has passed, but for me, I'm like 37 this year. Yeah.
Huh?
So I'm pushing 40. So how do you? you don't come again.
You don't look a day after 25. Are you wearing makeup? Are you wearing
Oh
concealer?
my god, you're really Samantha Jones.
I have some just some mild concealer under the eyes. But I have a confession to make later. I'll tell you. But let's not digress. But
sure.
About alcohol.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
so at 37 now, and then now I work in nightlife when I'm constantly exposed to alcohol, I find myself not craving it anymore. It's like if the drink is there, if I feel like having a drink, sure, but I'm not drinking to get wasted, to get sloshed. I don't need alcohol to get high anymore. Alcohol is optional.
You've got it under control. You're able to know when
Yeah.
to stop. You're able to say, I don't need a drink.
For the most part. But a lot of it is also, I will tell you, and you might feel it soon, it's my body just saying, cannot lah. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not a spring chicken anymore.
and I'm glad you're listening to your body.
Yes, it's actually that.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to your body's not going to lie to you. If your body cannot tahan, then...
When I started taking the medication, so okay, I just got to preface this first. So like, I'm not sober by any way. I'm not like cutting out alcohol. So if you see me like in the street, like, don't bother me. Don't say, hey, wait, I thought, I don't be like, oh, I thought, because I'm not sober. I decided to go through the non-abstinence route. So there's multiple routes. So there's a medication that actually prevents any high you get from alcohol.
Oh.
You take a pill, you don't even get any high. It was originally used for heroin addicts.
Oh.
So it blocks what you call the opiates, and that's where most of the pleasure comes from. On days where I really feel I need to get it under control, I have to just close my eyes and pop the pill and just like, okay, whatever I do, it's not going to affect me, so I might as well stay home. And when I first had to take it, I actually was crying taking it. Like, it was a very emotional experience because I think there was a lot of shame attached to it. It's like, how come everyone else gets to enjoy it responsibly, and how come like I am the way I am and I don't get to? Yeah. So I literally had to swallow my pride, and it felt like taking a pill was swallowing my pride. But it helped it a lot because especially like, for example, Sunday nights, okay, I gotta go to work, I'll just take this pill at 2 p.m. It lasts for 12 hours. Then I won't drink that day. But then when I started to finally cut out a lot of the alcohol, I still drink time to time. Like, I realized how tired my body was.
Yeah.
My body is so tired. It's not even physically, it's like mentally, because I was trying to push all these feelings away all the time. And then now that I was of sober mind, the feelings are just there, and I just keep putting it on repeat. Yeah. And I keep playing it over and over again. And a lot of it was tied to like my family situation. Like you said, I just didn't want to go up. I was at the void deck because I literally don't want to go home. I literally did not want to go home. Yeah. Thank you for giving me a platform. But back then I thought that the more I talk about it publicly, the more I would heal. And of course it did help a lot. And eventually when we were featured on the BBC, my dad did say, hey, I saw you on this. And it was actually his best friend who sent him that link. And coincidentally, his best friend has a gay son as well. So in a way, I felt like there was a very big impact. And I think this podcast had that impact. But I think the missing piece was after being accepted and also being very public about it on the podcast. That's why I had to step away. The last 3 years has allowed me to find out what's missing. What was the alcoholism symptomatic of?
I've often wondered what would have happened if you stayed on the podcast. I don't know if you think that sometimes.
I think we would have put the final nail on the coffin in terms of our interpersonal relationship. I mean, for real though.
By our, you mean you and Josh?
No, as in like, I think eventually you would have also felt it, right? I think it was a good decision to walk away. And no, and I don't mean this in a, like, I know this sounds a bit negative, and no, but really I think it was a good decision that you brought it up back then and said like, hey, we need to talk.
Yeah. True. Okay, actually thinking back, I had totally forgotten about the negative energy that was among us back then. I mean, since we are being so candid.
Should we call Vanda back?
Real now, yeah. Oh, let's talk about that episode. Because it got to a point where it was frustrating working with you, right?
Yeah.
And we really tried. And I know now that it wasn't like, it was something that was beyond your control. I mean, to some extent, right?
Definitely, I still have to take responsibility for it.
Of course. Yeah, it was sometimes like, for example, you showing up drunk to one of the recordings especially. Can we say?
If you feel comfortable with sharing. I mean, it was a while back.
Yeah, and you brought a water bottle and it was filled with vodka. I remember.
Yeah, I met Vanda in Bangkok years after that.
Yeah.
And then she was like, do you remember? And I was like, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so this was the Vanda Miss Joakim
She was very
episode.
Understanding.
Yeah, she was very sayang lah.
And she really was very concerned about you.
Yeah.
She was like...
So she came on as a guest on the episode. I handle all the technical aspects of it, so I edit the podcast and everything. So I really tried to clean this up so that it didn't come off that way. I didn't want people to speculate. My concern in that moment was, we have a guest who's coming down, and Venda was someone that we had looked up to for so long, and we were so excited for her to come down. So the focus should have been on her and not anything else. But Venda, actually, she was so caring and motherly towards you, because she, as a drag queen, you're a drag queen, you understand, you've seen all this in your line of work. So she was very, very caring. She completely understood, and I'm still very proud of the episode, because I still think it was a really good episode.
Yeah.
And to your credit, as you were fighting all those demons and everything, you still showed up. Okay, as tough as it was, you still showed up, and you still showed up after. Okay, even if we had to move episodes around and stuff, you still found a way to make it work. But then we had to eventually say okay, for the future of this podcast and what the goal is, we just can't keep doing that.
There's a reason why we're still friends, right? And why you still come back occasionally.
Yeah.
You came back after 377A was repealed, and then now again. We just want to remind people so that there's no bad blood. It's like water under the bridge. And in fact, we're so happy that we've all grown in our own ways, and you're happier and healthier now.
I started to tell people actually I'm on medication, I've been doing this, and actually it took a huge weight off my shoulders. Because I think similar to when we first started this podcast, I'm someone who feels a lot of power in speaking truth. That transparency does help me work through it, and in a way it also gave me a sense of accountability. Not that I didn't have a conscience behind me last time, but I really feel like Germany cricket is on my shoulder now. Last week I was at Rabbit's Hole, and then I had a performance on Sunday. Literally at 12:30, I had this voice in my head was like, should I get another drink? 4 drinks in, 5 drinks in? And I was like, okay, but I knew if I get that drink, this night is going to go all the way until 3 a.m. And I would wake up the next day and I would feel shitty, but I would have to go to rehearsal and then sound check and then perform in the Esplanade. And I knew that I didn't want that.
You don't perform up to your own expectations and you feel lousy
then
about
it's this
yourself.
cycle.
Yeah.
It's this cycle. I feel more shame. I let someone down again, and it's because and then it's this cycle of trauma. And I think the last few months when I started medication and therapy again, it has helped a lot, and also talking about my problems online has helped a lot.
Yeah. I have missed so many birthday celebrations, some gatherings, and because of alcohol also, because my body just couldn't recover, especially when I got older. So I was like, this is my pattern. I'll just stay up till 6 a.m. But no, I'm dead the next day, and I feel like dying, literally.
When you wake up at an ungodly hour, 6 a.m. because your sleep schedule is effed up on a Sunday, and you're like, oh, I had so much to drink last night. And you being you have a bunch of bottles of soju in your room. Literally it's staring at me when I wake up. And it keeps replaying in my head, do I drink it or not? Do I drink it or not? Do I drink it or not? And then for 2 hours I keep thinking about it, and then at 8 a.m. I just drink it. And then the whole cycle starts.
You have it for breakfast,
First, yes. Literally.
Do you eat anything with it?
No.
That's wild.
I mean,
that is wild.
I mean, I can laugh about it now, but
I'm not saying it to, I'm not making fun of it, obviously. I'm not making light of it, but I'm
it's wild. No,
I didn't know
wild.
it was that, the first thing you go to in the morning,
It doesn't happen every week. It happens maybe once a month.
Right.
But it's still bad.
I feel in the modern day definition of addiction, obviously I'm no medical expert or anything, but it's when you wake up the first thing in the morning, what do you reach for? So for a lot of people, it's our phones, right? It's because
it is its own form of addiction.
Yes, because we're so used to screen time now.
You're pouring a lot of this out there, and Samjo, you're meeting him there as well, and I don't want to come across I don't really I'm completely exempt from this conversation. So I've struggled with nicotine addiction for 10 years, more than 10 years. Okay, so that was me. That was the first thing that I think of. That's the first thing that I reach for. I'm nicotine free for 3 months now. It was my way of feeling cool. It was my way of fitting in. It was also my alone time. I think there is social drinking, what you just talked about. But then there's also when you're 6 a.m. and you're by yourself and you're looking at that soju bottle. I just want to breathe in and breathe out and be by myself. So that was my demon to fight. Alcohol was not appealing to me. So it was very easy for me to judge Kennedy's situation and not understand it without actually realizing, hey, I've got my own addiction as well.
That's right.
And I think when you listen to this episode, you if you don't relate to the alcohol addiction thing, it could be something else. It could be sugar.
True.
It could be coffee. It could be something else.
True.
Pornography.
Yeah.
Right.
Sex addiction is It's serious.
So
Yeah, don't think that I'm more righteous than you two, because that like I have my own demons to fight, and I have been as well. So I know what that's like.
yeah, all in on your own time, lah, you know. And let's face it, Kennedy, like, you know, we have partake together in the
lost episode.
Shall we talk about it now? Like, so Josh, you may have forgotten about this, but there was once where Kennedy and I attempted to record an episode without you. Yes.
I remember this. I told you guys to just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, because you somehow weren't available or something, and then Kennedy and I were like raring to go. And so this is for the listeners out there who don't know, this is the BTS. Okay, there is a lost episode out there
That's sitting on his hard drive.
that's
his
in
personal hard drive.
my computer. Only me and Kennedy, and we called it
Two gays, one cup. Like
Two Gays, One Bottle or something.
Yeah, 2 gays, 1 bottle, because there was a bottle of vodka in between us.
Yes, and we literally finished that bottle during that episode.
Yeah.
And back then it was like just normal for us. We didn't think.
No, and at that point I hadn't even autopilot yet. Remember, we went down to still buy another bottle of wine before going Sentosa. I hadn't even.
Okay. Yes, and then so we actually made it through the episode somewhat.
Yeah.
In the end, it wasn't published for technical issues, according to Josh, right? Because the sound quality wasn't good.
maybe I know this is like contradicting where we are right now in this conversation, but like I think I also want to hear it now. Like just for fun.
We can roll some clips and you know.
This is that Mariah Carey, that punk rock album.
Exactly. This is really like, you know, a rarity, and we actually had a lot of fun recording it, but we got a bit too carried away, and we eventually went down to Sentosa. We continued drinking there on the beach, and I had a dinner appointment that I couldn't make in the end. This is what I mean by missing out on a lot of social engagements. I was too drunk, you know, and my friends were waiting for me. They had bought dinner for me. They were waiting for me at their house. They were going to host me. And it was just me. And they were waiting for me. They're like, where are you? And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm trying to get a cab from Sentosa. You know, it's going to take a while. They're like, okay, wait for you. In the end, I pass out in the cab. I wake up. The guy is like, you're here. And then I looked at this condo that I was at. I was like, huh? No. This is not where I live. No, take me home. And then I gave them my home address. And then halfway through, oh my goodness, I had forgotten about the dinner appointment. Because that's how drunk I was. And then I got off the car and I ended up puking my guts out, and then I had to text them while puking. I was like, I'm so sorry, I cannot make it. I will buy you guys dinner, but like this is, I'm too sick. And I felt so guilty and so lousy about myself, because I'm like, these are friends who just wanted to hang out with me, and in fact they were ready to host me and they were waiting for me, and then I was basically shit for, like, you know, pangsaying them, and not for any legitimate reason. I felt it was just because like we got carried away. We couldn't control ourselves.
See, this is what I'm saying though. I think back then I internalized a lot of like, oh shit, it's my own decisions. And yes, a lot of it is my own decisions. But I think also understanding where those decisions and the wider context of like, why do so many gay men drink so heavily, it also helped me unpack certain things. Oh, actually there's a very spiritual concept in Zen Buddhism. It's called a beginner's mind. Sometimes it's not about like, oh, I gotta change my life, I gotta, you know, do this thing with a big purpose. It can just be, why don't I try something different? Approaching everything with a curiosity. And I think that's also what helped take the stress off me to, okay, I'm gonna try visiting a psychiatrist. I tried so many other things that didn't work. So why not try something new?
I was trying to understand why I felt a closeness towards cigarettes compared to drinking alcohol, right? I just don't enjoy drinking alcohol. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But for cigarettes, I've always felt this connection to it. Maybe it's the breathing out. Maybe it's just going to a quiet corner by yourself. But actually, I traced it back to my grandmother. My grandmother was a chain smoker. So when I lived with my Chinese grandmother, all she did was like roll cigarettes and smoke. And that was the smell that I remember in the house when it was just me and my grandmother who raised me. So I didn't realize this, but that's why cigarette smoke was so, like, it smelled like home for me. When I lost my grandmother for many, many years, I was like, where did that smell go? And then that smell came back, and then I felt drawn to it. Oh, like other people drink, other people go through their stuff, and like they promote alcohol all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And like I think for me in radio, it's like we give away bottles of like alcohol and wine, and we do like ladies' night parties and everything. It's completely legal.
Yeah.
When I'm going through like my struggles with cigarettes, like no one can talk about it. No one is allowed to like discuss it. It's like a super taboo topic. Right? So like I dealt with that on my own quietly in secret because it was not glamorized as much.
Yeah.
Sugar, like give away like donuts. Like, completely
Some vices
fine.
are more socially acceptable than others.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about sugar, like look at, I'm not sure about you, but I'm very affected by the Nutri-Grade rating. Actually,
the grade,
works
right.
on me,
It works on me as
now
well.
I'm like, see, I cannot take anything.
The Singaporean you is just like, I gotta get a good grade.
Oh, maybe actually. I never thought of that. But for me, it's like, I mean, I don't really have a sweet tooth to begin with. I just balk at the taste of too much sugar.
In a way, that also mirrors the media laws about, you cannot glamorize like alternative lifestyles, e.g. homosexuality. It's actually a public health topic. Like the more you moralize a behavior, right? Sometimes you might get the opposite effect.
Right. Tattoos are another one. Tattoos.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a journalist, sometimes we would have to take photos of, include photos of the newsmakers, right?
Yeah.
And they would be like, ask them to wear longs. If they have a tattoo that's very, very big and obvious, ask them to cover up. I never really questioned it, to be honest, because I was also part of the system, right? It's like, okay, Lord, that's the rule. But now thinking back, it's like, who gets to police like what is okay and what isn't? I think society has also evolved along the way, and we're more forgiving about certain things and clamping down on other things, say for health reasons or whatever. But it's very interesting that at any given point in your life, there's always going to be the powers that be that dictate what is acceptable and what isn't.
Yeah.
And then we have to decide whether we want to fall in line. And if we don't fall in line, then we feel a certain way about ourselves. Or maybe we develop addictions, underground addictions, because you felt like you had nowhere to turn to. Which is when I think the downward spiral starts for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because then you don't feel safe in confiding in other people, Like you had a, semi-open struggle, but so many things you were even ashamed to share, even with people whom you know would understand, because you're like, maybe they already think so little of me, like,
I really was the example of sunk cost fallacy. I felt like if everyone's saying these things about me, if I cave in, then I'm letting them win. It's very spiteful. It's very spiteful. The more like they clamp down on vice and the more they associate homosexuality with vice, that's where I felt like who are you to tell me what to do, right? How I reconciled it is actually caring for yourself and living as a healthy gay man is actually a very rebellious act in its own. It is very rebellious, what? Because you are actually challenging all of these empirical fallacies that they use, so-called data that they present you. Why do gay men have higher rates of substance abuse? Why do gay men have higher rates of STDs? And the situation has caused it such, the situation that are outside of the control of gay men. But when you actually take active steps to overcome these circumstances, that is in itself rebellion, right?
rebel heart.
I try not to focus on like, I'm letting them win. It's how do I let myself win?
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you keep talking about them, like I said, like, you also acknowledge that this so-called notion of them is like, there are some people like that who really exist in your life. But so much of it is also
your decision, your response to.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to care, because chances are other people are too busy with their own lives and to have opinions about yours. And even if they have opinions, like, why should it matter? You know what I mean? As I've grown older, it's more of like I give way fewer fucks about what other people think. If you put yourself first, I'm worried about Heidi. You put Heidi first, chances are you'll be okay. Like, everything is going to be okay.
In a way, how I agree with what you say, and I'm trying to reach that point where it's really genuinely I don't think about these so-called enemies. But how I've kind of found a middle ground to transition towards that is I always tell myself, okay, I gotta vanquish my enemies, real and imagined. There are imagined, perceived enemies. And even the word enemies is a bit strong.
Demons. Vanquish the demons. Sounds about right.
Demons, real and imagined.
Because your ops.
Yeah, because there are really things in my life and people in my life who have caused me a lot of pain. But there's also a lot of imaginary ones that have manifested out of those situations that I don't need to hold on to anymore.
I love what you just said, that we're rebelling against like what is the trajectory that's expected of us, right? To be able to love your body, to eat what you want and enjoy yourself, to be able to be more femme if that's what you're leaning towards.
In an ironic way, I hope it's obvious, but in the last 2 years I've really hit the gym a lot.
Why don't you stand up and twirl around first?
How about you get on this table?
Take it up. Take it.
Now I'm
tits
conscious.
out for the boys.
No,
Tits
no,
up
no.
for the boys.
No. So why I say like in an ironic way, because like what you said about you can lean into being more femme if you want. I realized that actually for a long time I was afraid to leaning into looking more masculine. Because I know that masculine is very prized, yes, like what you said. And being masculine looking is very prized in the gay community. But a lot of my identity rested on being against that. And so for a long time, I had a very complicated relationship with fitness, because fitness was, my memories of fitness when I was young is PE teachers screaming at me to act like a boy. Don't be a wimp. How come you don't like to play rugby? How come you don't like soccer? You know, are you even a boy? And a lot of my coping mechanism last time is, so what if I don't act like a boy? Because in my mind, that was my way of like taking power away from them. Like, you're making fun of me for all these things. I don't even want these things. So what are you making fun of me for?
Do you like kind of like dismantle that and like exempt yourself from it, hoping that it would,
Yeah, and that plays a lot into this whole like idea of rebellion, right? And then eventually, I think after going through a series of personal crises, a very bad breakup, having this identity crisis at work, my life was like going nowhere. Then I decided, okay, you know what? Everyone says like movement is an energy shift, right? Working out, you know, doing yoga and things like that. It's like, okay, how about I try lifting weights? I hired a personal trainer. I will say there is a huge element of like the vanity to it, right? I can't deny that. I like the attention I get. I like that people give me recognition for it. But at the same time, I'm also holding space for I'm holding space for the fact that I'm setting a goal and hitting it.
Yeah.
And I'm showing up for myself, and it also allows me to be like, okay, I don't drink on Friday night because on Sunday morning I go to the gym. When I keep to that commitment, I feel good.
It's like your way of anchoring yourself, and if you're not putting other people down, you know, as long as you don't become the jock that picks on other people who were you or your built back then, you know, like just don't become the thing that you,
the very thing you swore to destroy, right? In the words
Yeah.
of Anakin Skywalker.
I
Oh wait, no,
didn't know that.
it was the teacher,
Well,
Mark
pop
Hamill.
culture reference.
Oh.
he's getting more swole, and then I'm going into my twink era.
I don't think you can enter a twink era.
No.
But you are skinny legend now, though.
I've
Yeah,
lost
skinny legend.
I've
Yeah.
lost 21 kg, and I've always wanted to like. I feel like a more feminine energy coming out of me. You're getting more buff and everything because like there's a masculineness to it, which I used to think I needed to have. I used to do powerlifting. I used to deadlift 185 kg, and that was my thing. It was my way of keeping me masculine. And I thought if I was slimmer, if I was more nimble and more flexible, that is more feminine.
You're living a softer life.
I am, and I'm loving it.
So I think because you're living a more feminine and softer life, do you bottom now?
And on that note, you know, it's been an
He's
absolute
always
joy.
very evasive when it comes to...
No, I'm
like-
starting to feel an openness.
Okay.
It's like
So
the
it's-
root chakra has opened up and things can
Yeah.
go in now.
So it's a yes or no lah. So
It's
that means-
I'm exploring other sides of
Right.
me.
But I thought you got fingered in the pool once. Like,
Okay, so we're gonna.
because I know your ex-boyfriend and I like...
Hey, so.
You got fingered in the pool once,
Okay,
right?
Okay. Anyway,
Alright, so because it's the 5th anniversary of the SG Boys, we
Yeah.
decided to, give you all a little some in. As you know, we are doing videos right now. So it started off as just pure audio podcast. But now, all of our episodes are also on YouTube. As videos, obviously we didn't film a lot of the earlier episodes, but the full audio episodes are on YouTube. If that's your preferred platform, listen to us and, subscribe, and we'll have a few more surprises out there, especially like shorter reels. For those
Yeah.
of you who have, short attention span, like Kennedy.
So you finally took my advice.
You know what, Kennedy? It took you leaving for us to finally start listening to you.
That sounds like a lot of... Okay, never mind.
yeah.
No, but the great thing about having all of these episodes on all the platforms basically is that, we've had 5 years of content.
Yeah.
Obviously we have reduced the frequency quite a bit, but it's really, really fun episodes. Like some episodes I forgot we even did. Like, what are some of your favorite moments?
The Liu episode, actually, when Liu came on, we did one where it was over Halloween. So we did true Singapore gay ghost stories.
Yes.
And like each of us just started gathering stories. Liu's story was an army story, right? No,
Mine was the army.
yours was the army
Mine
story.
was the army. Or his was about some
Yours was the
demon.
locker.
Yes.
The locker.
Yeah, oh my
the
God, it's
sound
giving
from
me
the
chills.
locker. And then
His-
Liu's was the demon in the house.
And his was so scary because when he was telling his story, suddenly like the lights went off or something like that, right? Or
Yeah.
there was some sound. And then we realized that, was it Ben who accidentally turned off the switch or something?
Yeah.
And then I literally leapt up from my chair. I think I hugged Liu. I was just so like,
Yeah.
like, I couldn't take it. I'm such a wimp when it comes to horror stuff. As I've said on this podcast many times, It's like every recording is like therapy for me. And I only realized that, like, you know, there was one episode where I was undergoing a lot of stress at work, and I somehow dragged myself to a recording and I did it. And I felt so much better after. I can't remember which episode this was. It might have been the one with Joe Tan and Irfan and Mitch Liao. It might have been that one. But I remember I was like, okay, whatever's going on in life right now, let's put it aside and then to hear the three of them share about something they're so excited and happy about, it really lifted my spirits. Even if it was just for, you know, those couple of hours, that made me have a different perspective on my relationship with this podcast. Like, it started off as like, oh, we're just doing it, you know, just three of us gathering around mic because we were bored during COVID. But then it became bigger than us after a while. And then now I'm entering a different phase of my life. And I think it's so nice to have captured that. I don't know, for those of you who are out there and haven't listened to it yet, you can hopefully find something that you can relate to in those episodes.
You know, actually, on that note, there were multiple times I remember I felt that way about our recording sessions as well, where it's like we come in with the funk of whatever we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Whether it's work or relationships, or like, I remember there was one episode, like both of us were going through so much health problems. Like Like, and it was an aging episode which we didn't plan out, but like I was having costochondritis, and then you were having issues with your throat and like your voice.
Right.
And like by the end of it, we felt like we sort of healed from just having those conversations. And also maybe that's why we were so happy we didn't film those episodes, because we looked like crap.
You're absolutely right. Yeah,
we were miserable. If we had a camera that captured that.
God. Yeah, sometimes we would.
So my favorite episode is Everybody Say Love, and I think it was really special to me because I think it was that episode where we touched on a very personal reason why I wanted to be a part of this podcast. Right before circuit breaker, like a close friend had passed away, and actually she passed away due to addiction. So it feels like a very full circle moment right now, where I'm coming out talking about my own problems with addiction. And when I first started this podcast, she had her own addiction problems that sadly took her life. The reason why I joined the podcast because of her, because we used to do a podcast together, like a silly one, like we don't publish it anywhere, it's just for our own reference. And so I thought, okay, you know, this would be a way to kind of materialize those memories or like something similar and do it in a way that we can do good.
What about your favorite SG Boys episode that you were not on? Seeing as how you're still an avid listener of ours.
And on that note,
Scene. He's like, oh, there's so many of them.
I'm Joshua Simon.
I'm Sam Joe.
And we are
The SG Boys, that little gay podcast from Singapore.
Subscribe and find us on Instagram at The SG Boys.
The beliefs, views, and opinions expressed on this podcast are attributable to its hosts only and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, organization, company, or individual.